This summary is based on the book Life Without Limits, Inspiration for a Ridiculously Good Life by Nick Vujicic. Nick was born without arms and legs, and his life began with many challenges. But instead of letting his condition stop him, he chose to stay hopeful, keep his faith strong, and focus on what he could do rather than what he couldn't. Today, Nick shares his message all over the world. He reminds people that their attitude matters more than their situation, and that they can create a good life even when things feel difficult. In this summary, you will learn how Nick accepted himself, built confidence, stayed positive, trusted in better days, and learned to overcome fear. These lessons are simple, but they can help anyone grow and live with more strength and courage. Nick may not have arms or legs, but he learned to live without limits. His story is a reminder that each of us has the ability to rise, improve, and create a meaningful life. So let's get started with today's summary. If you can't get a miracle, become one. Nick Vujicic was his parents' first child. His mother worked as a midwife, someone who helps bring babies safely into the world. She had spent years in delivery rooms, assisting countless mothers and holding newborns in her hands. Because of her profession, she knew exactly what to do, what to avoid, and how to take care of herself during pregnancy. She did everything right. She followed her diet strictly, avoided unnecessary medicines, never touched alcohol, and went for regular checkups. Her only goal was to make sure her baby arrived healthy and safe. Before Nick was born, his mother went through 2 ultrasounds. The doctor told her she was having a boy, but never mentioned anything unusual about the baby's condition. Nick was born on December 4, 1982. The moment he arrived, the delivery room fell silent. The doctors and nurses froze. No one carried the baby to his mother. Instead, they stood there unsure of how to react. From a distance, Nick's father caught sight of the newborn and realized something was terribly wrong. His son had no arms. Shocked and overwhelmed, he walked out of the room, unable to process what he had just seen. The medical staff quickly wrapped Nick's body in a cloth to cover him completely, but a mother always senses when something isn't right. Nick's mother kept asking, "What's wrong? Did something happen to my baby?" "Phoclia," the doctor finally said, the only word he could manage. As a midwife, Nick's mother instantly understood. Phocomyelia is a rare condition where a baby is born without fully developed limbs. Hearing that word broke her heart. Meanwhile, the doctor stepped outside to speak with Nick's father. Trying to stay composed, his father asked, "Does my son have no arms?" The doctor replied, "Actually, he has neither arms nor legs." The news hit him like a blow. His legs felt weak. He had no idea how he would tell his wife. When he entered the room, Nick's mother was already sobbing. Even though the hospital staff tried bringing baby Nick to his mother, she couldn't bring herself to look at him. She wasn't emotionally ready. She was overwhelmed with shock and grief, and all she could do was cry along with the nurses and the tiny newborn who lay beside her also crying. Eventually, a nurse placed Nick gently next to his mother, but even then she couldn't turn her eyes toward him. The pain of seeing her child without arms and legs was too much to bear. She whispered to the nurse, "Take him away. I can't look at him. I can't touch him." Her husband understood her shock and didn't judge her. He knew the moment had shattered her. As time passed, Nick's parents were consumed by one painful question. If God loves everyone, why did this happen to our son? Nick only learned about this part of his story when he turned 13. By then, he had already faced bullying at school. He would come home in tears, and seeing him cry made his mother cry with him. Nick and his family were deeply devoted Christians. Over the years, his parents tried to accept the truth by believing that God must have a special plan for their son, something they couldn't yet understand. They loved Nick more than anything and helped him grow resilient despite his condition. Nick's mother once told him how, when he was born, she was unable to hold him or even look at him. Nick listened quietly. He understood her pain and told her that if he had been in her place, he might have reacted the same way. As Nick grew up, so did his faith. He believed strongly that his life had a purpose. This belief filled him with hope and energy, and he began living like a cheerful, positive child. People often told him they admired him for his bright attitude and the way he carried himself. When Nick eventually began traveling around the world, he witnessed unimaginable suffering. He saw children who had no parents and suffered from serious illnesses. He met women and girls who were forced into terrible situations. He saw extreme poverty, places where people struggled just to eat one meal a day. One experience deeply shaped him. Nick once visited a settlement in Cairo, Egypt known as Garbage City. Around 50,000 people lived there, surviving by sorting through giant mountains of trash, searching for anything they could sell, recycle, or use to stay alive. The entire area smelled rotten. Trash lay everywhere, and daily life was filled with hardship and hopelessness. Yet, when Nick visited in 2009, he discovered something surprising. Despite living in such harsh conditions, most people there were smiling. They had a strong faith in God and found joy in small things. Although Egypt's population is mostly Muslim, the residents of Garbage City were largely Christian. Their homes were tiny, packed tightly together. When Nick began speaking to the people, he was moved by their simplicity and sincerity. They looked at him with warm smiles that showed kindness and gratitude. Nick's team distributed rice, tea, and some money to the families there. They also brought footballs and other sports equipment for the children. Clear's throat. The moment the kids received the toys, their faces lit up with excitement and laughter filled the air. Nick never forgot that moment. Seeing those children happy despite having nothing made him realize a powerful truth. Happiness doesn't depend on circumstances. It depends on how we choose to see the world. The real secret to happiness is knowing what you can control and what you can't. When you focus on what you can control, you can move forward. And when you let go of what you cannot control, you become free. In the end, happiness is a choice, one only you can make. No arms, no legs, no limits. Every time Nick travels, he's reminded of one powerful truth. The human spirit is extraordinary. People are capable of more strength, courage, and resilience than they ever realize. And Nick firmly believes that miracles do happen. But only for those who dare to expect them. So what does hope really mean? Hope is the light at the end of a dark tunnel. Hope is the quiet assurance that even when you can't control your circumstances, you can still control your response to them. As long as life exists, hope exists. And yet, even with our deepest prayers and strongest faiths, tragedies still occur. In places like Chile, Mexico, Haiti, and China, devastating earthquakes struck one after another, taking thousands of lives within seconds. So, how do we hold on to hope? In the middle of such unimaginable pain, when it feels like everything has been taken away from us, we must remember something important. Often the greatest suffering brings out the greatest compassion. After each disaster, volunteers from all walks of life, doctors, students, engineers rushed to help. They gave their time, their resources, and even their physical strength to support those who had lost everything. In 2008, Nick visited China where he met children who had survived the massive earthquake. Most of them had lost their parents and homes. They were living in orphanages trying to rebuild their shattered lives. Nick watched one of their dance performances and later gave a speech to encourage them. But before speaking, he felt unsure. What could he possibly say to children who had lost so much? How could he talk about hope when their entire world had collapsed? But the moment Nick entered the orphanage, something unexpected happened. The children ran to him with wide smiles. They hugged him one by one, excited and joyful. Nick didn't know a word of Chinese, but he didn't need language to understand what he saw in their eyes. A spark of hope, still burning despite their pain. Nick arrived that day thinking he would inspire the children, but the truth is they inspired him. Despite their heartbreak, they refused to let despair win. They did not let tragedy steal their smiles or their spirit. Nick told them how amazed and proud he was of their courage. He encouraged them to keep moving forward, reminding them that their present pain did not define their future. He told them that a better tomorrow was waiting for them and that they carried within themselves the strength and ability to chase their dreams. Full assurance in the heart. In 2008, Nick traveled to Hawaii to speak at an event, and there he met someone whose story deeply moved him. Bethany Hamilton, a clears throat, world-class surfer. Bethany was admired across the globe, not only for her incredible surfing talent, but also for her extraordinary courage. In 2003, at the age of 13, Bethany survived a tiger shark attack that resulted in the loss of her left arm. Most people would have given up after such a life-changing injury, but Bethany did the opposite. She refused to let fear define her future. Today, she is known worldwide for her strength, positivity, and unshakable faith. Like Nick, she eventually became a motivational speaker, inspiring millions. Bethany often says she wants people to know one thing: God loves them, and they should never lose faith. She believes God watches over everyone, and her own life is proof of that. On the day of the shark attack, Bethany lost nearly 70% of her blood. The nearest hospital was 45 minutes away. As she drifted in and out of consciousness, the paramedic whispered in her ear, "God will never leave you and he will never forget you." Those words gave her a sense of peace in a terrifying moment. But when they reached the hospital, there was a new problem. Every operating room was already full. There was no space available for emergency surgery, meaning Bethy's life was hanging by a thread. And then something remarkable happened. One patient had been scheduled for knee surgery that day, but at the last minute, he postponed it. That patient was Bethy's father. The coincidence was almost unbelievable. He had no idea his daughter was fighting for her life. Yet his decision created the only available operating room. The doctors immediately prepared the theater and performed emergency surgery on Bethany instead of her father. That operation saved her life. But what happened next was even more astonishing. Bethany was such a positive, driven, and athletic girl that only 3 weeks after losing her arm, she was back in the ocean surfing again. She refused to let tragedy take away the sport she loved most. While talking with Nick, Bethany explained that she believed losing her arm was not a curse, but part of a bigger plan God had for her life. She never allowed self-pity to consume her. She accepted what had happened and chose to move forward with courage. Later, in one of the world's top professional women's surfing competitions, Bethany placed third, and she did it with just one arm. Her story inspired millions around the world. She believes that losing her arm actually became a gift because it allowed her to inspire others to live boldly, freely, and without limits. Nick says that faith is not only about religion. Faith is choosing to believe that even when life hurts, even when everything seems broken, things will eventually fall into place. Faith is the quiet strength that whispers, "This pain will pass. Better days are coming." Nick often explains faith using a simple phrase, FITH, full assurance in the heart. It means believing with every part of your heart that opportunities will come, life will get better, and every challenge has a purpose behind it, even if you cannot see it right now. Love the perfectly imperfect you. During one of Nick's tour across East Asia, he spoke in Singapore to an audience of nearly 300 top entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. After his presentation, a well-dressed man in a suit approached him. From the outside, he looked just as successful as everyone else in the room, but his eyes revealed a different story. "Please," the man said quietly, "I need your help." Nick soon learned that this man owned 3 banks. He had wealth, reputation, and influence. Yet none of it could solve the pain inside his home. His 14-year-old daughter couldn't stand her own reflection. Every time she looked in the mirror, she called herself ugly. She had begun to hate herself, unable to see her talent or beauty or worth. "My daughter's heart is breaking," the man told Nick. "I want her to know she is beautiful. I want her to see what I see in her." Nick listened carefully, and he realized how many people, young or old, feel the same way. Maybe you've been in a similar place. Maybe you think there's nothing special about you. Maybe you compare yourself to other boys or girls at school. Maybe you think you're not tall enough, not attractive enough, not smart enough. But here's the truth Nick wants you to understand. If you can't love yourself when you're young and healthy, how will you love yourself later when life gets harder? If you cannot accept yourself, accepting others will always be a struggle. And if you constantly compare your life, your body, or your abilities to others, you will live in anger, jealousy, and clears throat loneliness. So ask yourself, what is stopping you from loving yourself? Is it a pimple on your face, your messy hair, your skin color, your weight, or some flaw only you notice? Whatever the reason, remember this. You are beautiful just as you are. You are unique in a way no one else on earth can ever be. Instead of focusing endlessly on your own imperfections, try shifting your attention outward. When you help others who are hurting, your own pain becomes lighter. When you stop thinking about what you lack and start thinking about how you can give, something powerful happens inside you. You can volunteer at a community kitchen. You can help raise funds for an orphanage. You can support earthquake survivors. You can join a nonprofit organization. You can even run a marathon for a good cause. And when you do, you'll be amazed by how good it makes you feel. Helping others doesn't just heal them, it heals you. Because everyone on this planet is imperfect. Every single one of us is still growing, still learning, still becoming better. What matters, clears throat, is that you keep trying one day at a time. Accept yourself exactly as you are. Use what you have. Find your purpose and channel your unique gifts into something meaningful. No one else has your exact combination of talents, strengths, flaws, and abilities. There is only one you in the entire universe. Learn to love that perfectly imperfect version of yourself. Only then will you be able to love others fully. Attitude is altitude. Attitude is Altitude is the name of Nick's company, an organization that manages his speaking events around the world. He chose this name for a reason. Nick firmly believes that without a positive attitude, he would never have been able to rise above his disability nor connect with millions of people across the globe. You've probably heard this many times. Change your attitude and you can change your life. It's repeated in countless motivational books and speeches because it's absolutely true. The lens through which you view the world, your attitude shapes every decision you make. If life doesn't seem to be going your way, maybe your perspective has shifted toward negativity. The good news is that perspective is always within your control. Think of attitude like a remote control. At any moment, you can switch from irritation to patience, from laziness to energy, from sadness to joy. And when your attitude changes, the world around you begins to change, too. Nick often shares the story of Lisa, a music teacher whose life is a powerful example of this truth. When Lisa was a child, she was in a terrible car accident. She was so badly injured that she slipped into a coma for 2 days. When she finally woke up, she couldn't speak, eat, or walk. Doctors feared the worst. They thought the trauma might have permanently damaged her brain. They believed she might never walk or talk again. But slowly, to everyone's amazement, her body began to heal. In the end, the only lasting physical issue was with her right eye. Lisa endured immense pain and underwent multiple surgeries. Yet even after all that, her damaged eye never fully recovered. She could have been angry. She could have questioned why God allowed this to happen, but she chose something different. She chose a positive attitude. In a letter to Nick, she wrote, "Sometimes I still get sad that both my eyes don't work together, but then I remember God saved my life. My right eye reminds me that I'm not perfect, and that's okay. It doesn't make me less. When I feel weak, I ask God for strength. I try my best to stay positive and take care of the people around me." Instead of focusing on her limitations, Lisa focused on the miracle she still had. She could walk. She could speak. She could live a relatively normal life. She refused to let bitterness grow inside her. Maybe you too are carrying a heavy burden, a heartbreak, a loss, a responsibility that feels overwhelming. Feeling sad or angry is natural. Those emotions are part of being human. But after some time, you must ask yourself a difficult snorts question. Do I want to spend the rest of my life trapped in this pain, or do I want to rise above it and move toward my dreams? Attitude won't erase the past, but it can shape the future. Your mindset can lift you higher than any challenge in your path, because truly, attitude is altitude, armless but not harmless. There was a boy in Nick's grade school, a bully everyone feared. His real name wasn't Chucky, but because he had bright orange hair, big ears, and freckles like the creepy doll from the horror movie. That's what everyone called him. Chucky was the first person who genuinely frightened Nick. One day during recess, Chucky confronted him. "I bet you can't fight," he sneered. "Yes, I can," Nick replied, trying to sound confident. Nick had no idea how he would actually fight Chucky. But all his friends were watching and clear his throat. He didn't want to look scared. Growing up in a Christian family, he knew fighting wasn't the right answer, but he had wrestled with his brothers enough to know he wasn't completely helpless. "If you can fight, prove it," Chucky challenged. "Fine, meet me on the oval at lunchtime," Nick said. "You better show up," Chucky warned. All morning, Nick was terrified. He couldn't concentrate on a single lesson. His heart raced at the thought of facing Chucky. He had no idea what to do or how to defend himself. When lunchtime arrived, Nick's friends surrounded him and walked beside his wheelchair as they headed to the oval. A large crowd of students had already gathered, placing bets and whispering that Nick would surely lose. "Are you ready to fight?" Chucky asked. Nick nodded, even though he had no clue how this was going to work. Chucky, equally unsure, asked, "So how are we going to do this?" "I don't know," Nick replied honestly. "You have to get out of your wheelchair," Chucky said. "It wouldn't be fair if you fought from there." "Okay," Nick agreed. "Music, but then you have to get on your knees so we're face to face." Chucky accepted and the fight began. Both boys circled each other. Before Nick could react, Chucky shoved him hard. Nick fell backward like a sack of potatoes. Pain shot through his body, but he pushed himself up using his shoulders and head. As soon as he tried to attack again, Chucky shoved him once more. Nick fell forward this time, face first onto the ground. Chucky was ready to humiliate him. But when Nick got up a third time, something changed inside him. He gathered all his strength and launched himself toward Chucky. His head slammed straight into Chucky's nose. Both of them fell, but Nick bounced back up quickly. Chucky, however, was clutching his face. Blood poured through his fingers, staining his shirt. Without saying a word, Chucky stumbled to his feet and ran toward the bathroom. That was the last day Chucky ever tried to intimidate Nick, and it was the first and last physical fight Nick ever had. But from that moment on, Nick learned something powerful. The only way to overcome fear is to face it. Even if you don't know what to do, even if your whole body is trembling, courage grows once you take the first step. He realized he was far stronger than his fears. This is the message Nick shares with everyone. Fear may stand in your way, but remember, fear is only a feeling. It isn't real. It exists only in your mind. Think about it. Have you ever been terrified before a job interview, a big exam, or a surgery? And once it was over, did you realize it wasn't nearly as bad as you imagined? Most of the things we fear have not even happened yet. We fear failure, rejection, embarrassment, possibilities, not realities. But you must never let fear stop you. Fear lives in the mind. Courage lives in the heart. Take a small step forward, even when you're scared, and you'll be amazed at what you're capable of. Conclusion. Throughout this audiobook summary, you've explored some of the most powerful lessons from Nick's life. Lessons that can reshape your own life if you choose to live them. First, you learned about happiness and purpose. No matter what situation you're in, look for the good hidden within it. Trust that everything happens for a reason. Even if you can't see that reason right now, your life has meaning. Go discover it and choose to live each day with intention and joy. Second, you learned about hope. Never abandon hope even during the darkest chapters of your journey. Yesterday is gone, but tomorrow is unwritten. You have the power to shape what comes next. Expect better days. They are already on their way. Third, you learned about faith. Even if you're not religious, you can still believe in the possibility of change. You can trust that things will eventually fall into place. Put your heart into whatever you do. Give your best effort and hold on to the belief that perseverance always brings rewards. Music fourth, you learn the importance of self-acceptance. You are a beautiful, talented, and worthy human being. You deserve love. Instead of drowning in insecurities, shift your focus outward, help others, be kind, and become a source of light. When you accept yourself, you open the door to deeper confidence, deeper peace, and deeper relationships. Fifth, you learn the transformative power of a positive attitude. Change your attitude and you change your life. Choose joy over sadness. Choose gratitude over complaints. Your life is filled with blessings. Notice them, appreciate them, and let them inspire you. Sixth, you learned how to rise above fear. Fear is just an emotion. It is not a real barrier. You have far more strength inside you than you realize. Do not let fear dictate your choices. Move forward even when your voice shakes, even when your heart trembles. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite the fear. And finally, remember this powerful truth. If someone like Nick, a man born without arms or legs, can live boldly, joyfully, and without limits, then so can you. You already have everything you need to build a beautiful life right here, right now. Find your purpose, choose happiness, keep hope alive, strengthen your faith, embrace your uniqueness, maintain a positive attitude, and rise above every fear. Just imagine how extraordinary your life can become when you truly live these lessons. You can begin living a life without limits. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary. If these lessons inspired you, don't forget to explore more summaries on Neuro Whispers. Each one created to help you grow, transform, and unlock your full potential. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving toward the life you are meant to live.